So I brought my sample one in just to show what we're going to be doing. So we're going to open it up and we're going to start on the left hand side by making this big pouch panel which we build everything onto, and our main flap which will make it open, and we're going to add the waterfalls. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my cover and open out, so I've got my left and right just to help me. Now I'm going to turn my left pages over, and they should be in the order I want to use them. So I'm going to bring in some glue. Now the glue will add strength, but the main reason I use it is to give me some wiggle room with the tape. So I'm going to take the tape off, add some glue, and I'm just going to turn my book here, so I've still got my left towards me, and I can see where my chipboard ends and the tape sort of divots in, so I'm not going to go right up to where the chipboard ends. I'm just going to come back just a tiny little hair's breadth. That's just so that it doesn't catch when we open and close it. Okay, so I'm keeping it nice and flat and pressing it down. Get my bone folder and just tease it down. So as you can see, when we stick these bits down, the center will still be a pocket. So I'm just going to take off the tape, run some glue down the edge, and again on this side. Now because we cut our chipboard pieces with that extra little eighth, it just gives you a bit of a space each side just to centralize it. So I'm just going to line it up with this edge and try to make it straight and flat. And there we are. There's our left cover pocket. So onto that, like we said, we're going to have that big flap. So again, because I got it in order, it's here, the main flap, and that's going to glue onto there and open that way. So I'm going to take off my tape. Run my glue down. Now I'm just going to make sure that I line up the corners, but I'm also making sure I'm keeping it straight along with the chipboard cover. That should be good. Open it up and burnish it. And that's our little flap, just give us a couple of extra spaces for more photos. So we're going to build our waterfall directly onto this. So again, I'm just going to make sure I score these down as much as I can. Now take your time with this first waterfall, because it will dictate the rest. So you want to make sure you get this one right. So I'm going to line up along the top, but also making sure these bottom corners are in line with my main flap. And I'm going to go up just a little tiny bit, just to give me a little bit of extra space for when I get down to the bottom. I'm going to open it up and burnish it. Okay. And now it's just a case of working our way down. So we're going to take the next one. Now I'm not going to use this to line it up. I'm actually using my sides to line up. But making sure I'm coming up to just touching that one. And it's more important you line up the sides, otherwise your waterfall goes off on an angle. Okay. And the third one. So again, lining up my left and right hand side, coming up to meet that one. So by lining that, you just get a much neater waterfall. And this last one, rather than having that little flap on the last bit, what I'm going to do is actually attach it this way. And then when we open up, we have nothing to hide there. So again, gonna add some glue. Now this one should meet just at the bottom here. And see, when you open the last one then, there is nothing there which we need hiding. And that's our waterfall done. We just need something then to hold it shut. So here's where that bit comes out. So I'm just going to work out the middle just by eye. It's about there, and stick it down. So it's actually stuck onto the bottom one here, and it will stick out maybe a little bit. That's why we've got that extra little eighth to do that, just so it's got some space to close. And that's our left panel finished. Waterfall and flap. So let's move straight on to the right hand side. So again, I'm going to take my pages, flip them over, and they'll be in the right order for me again. Okay. So I'm just going to turn it so I got the spine towards me. And this time, we're going to have pages opening both sides. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm lining up central left to right. That's the edge of my chipboard, and I'm going to come back about 1/16 of an inch. So we want that little extra bit like we did that side so it doesn't catch, but also I want a little bit more again. If I bring this one in, otherwise our left and right would meet at exactly the same place. So by moving it in a little bit, it means these two just miss each other. So it just closes nicely. Okay. So I've come in double really what I did that side. It's only a tiny little thing, but it does make a big difference. So again, just like we did before with the left cover pouch, we're just going to take the tape off and glue down each side, straightening it along with our cover lined up. Okay. Take our tool, make sure the glue isn't keeping it locked. Okay, so now we've got our first panel. Now this is the one with the thickest spine. Add some glue. Now this is where that extra bit comes into its own. So I'm not going to line it up with the cardstock. I'm just going to take it back that hair's breadth. So I can still see the edge of my chipboard, but I've overlapped a little tiny bit of that black tape. So when we come to add our third flap, it just means they're not going to be meeting in exactly the same place. Okay, so first flap is down. We're now going to open it out. And remember, the page opens out again, so we're going to add our second flap directly onto this. So I'm lining up bottom left corner, lining up my top right corner and attaching it, holding it in place, burnishing it down. And that's our left hand flap. Move on to our third one. This is the thin 1/8 spine. I'm going to do exactly the same, but going the other way. So again, I'm going to line up the corners of my paper, making sure my pages line up with that pouch that's beneath it. And you can see now it doesn't meet that first score line, which just allows it to close nicely. But we want this to open out again. So we've got our fourth flap. You can see, because of all the preparation we did, the album itself comes together so quickly. And lining up the corners again. Let's open it up. And there we are. Our 4 pages done. We're just going to add something to the front. So we're going to do that top and bottom opening bit. Again, adding some glue. So be careful when you push down now, because you haven't got anything beneath. So I'm just going to place it, start with my right hand corner, my left hand corner, make sure these 2 bottom corners are in line with my page. Press it down gently, burnish it gently, give it a little press. And the bottom flap. Aligning the corners and the side. There we are. So we've got our top and bottom flap, our first page that opens up, and our second page which goes to that side. So this is now my center page. We've got the 2 joins here, and those are what I'm going to use to line up my central pocket. So this is the same as we did with the pouches. I've just taken off the bottom. Now I'm going to line this between those 2 score lines. Now taking off that little slither earlier has just made it a little tiny bit shorter, which means it'll hopefully not interfere with the two hinges. So it's inside these two score lines. If I hold it up, can you see? So between this score line and this score line. And we're just gonna do exactly the same as we did with the pouches. Add some glue. Making sure you don't cross those score lines, otherwise your page won't close. So there we are. Our main album, the entire base, is done. But before we start to decorate it, we're just going to add some magnets. Now the first set of magnets I'm going to put on are on the waterfall bit. So I'm just going to add some tape onto this magnet. Now the way I do it is have, it's a bit too long, another piece on top, take my next magnet, drop it from a height and it'll stay on. Keep my waterfalls nice and flat, and because I've got a bit of extra, there we are, it's held it down. Now with the waterfall, there'll be plenty of weight to keep that side down, but I want to make sure this side stays nicely lined up here. So I'm going to add some magnets to the corner. So I'm just going to add a little bit of tape, show you a different way you can do it. Take magnets, don't go too close to the edge, otherwise your pattern paper won't hide it. Oops, sorry, I was out of shot there. So one up in this corner, one here. Bit of a long one. Drop it from a height. Bit off. Better. I'm going to turn it that way. It was a bit too close to the top there. So I'm going to, before I close, I'm just going to line all my pages up, because that's where I want the magnet to do its work, to keep it all in line. So again, a bit of a longer piece. Place it sticky side up onto the magnet. Drop the magnet down, it'll automatically find its north and south pole. Line up my page properly, stick it down, and there's our magnet. So that's just going to help keep those pages nicely lined up for us. Here I'm not going to add a magnet. You can do, but I'm going to add a little ribbon tie or something instead, just to add a bit of extra interest. And there you have it. The album is ready to go. Waterfall and pages done. So now it's just time to decorate.